Hello folks, I kinda fucked up and I didn't record the audio to this episode, so I'm just gonna have to tell you a synopsis of what pretty much happened. The game that I was going to bring to you guys, 999, also known as 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors, is a puzzle game for the DS that involves Saw-ish like puzzles, aka your life is at stake, solve it or die. Our hero Junpei wakes up and finds himself in a room with the number 5 painted on the door. He approaches the door and finds out that it's locked, obs, and proceeds to stare out a window and contemplate about life. But wait, that window cracks and bursts open and water starts flowing in. Suddenly he realizes he's on a ship. And in order to not die, he needs to solve a puzzle to get out. This is where I fumbled around with a bunch of safe key locks and, due to my horrible memory and not being very good at puzzles, this took me well over 15 minutes to figure out that red equals red and blue equals blue. During said puzzle, Junpei remembers why he got there in the first place. He remembered going to his apartment, then getting knocked the fuck out, and, well, the last thing he remembered was a guy in a gas mask saying, "You have been chosen to join the Nonary game." And then he woke up. Anyway, after this, Junpei rushes out and, well, that's actually where the episode starts. Because that's when I figured out that I wasn't recording my audio. Alright, now you guys are caught up. Alright, I think this is gonna work. There we go, that's a new noise. Huh? Did it just unlock? Well, that light was red and now it's blue. And I'm Captain Obvious, so there's nothing keeping me in here now, right? Time to go. About damn time. Let's get out of here. Damn, someone needs oil for that door. You found it! What, the answer? Did you put, like, you solved it? Accompanied by a wall of angry water, Junpei shot out of the room and into the opposing wall. Gasping to catch his breath, he looked around. He was in a narrow hallway. The water that had followed him out of the room, God, I can't read tonight, was rapidly pouring out of the door. It flowed quickly down the hall and slammed into the foot of the short flight of stairs. Just 5 steps, in fact. And at the top of this short staircase... A door! Another door! I'm still Captain Obvious! Junpei leapt up the stairs, straight for the door. The door burst open, and Junpei exploded out of it, only to freeze in his tracks. What other possible response could there have been to what he saw? What the hell? His voice trailed off, and all he could do was stare. A polished floor stretched out before him, ornate staircases rising up from the edges, each one of them equidistant from the others. The stairs and pillars were solid wood, and Art Nouveau, is that how you pronounce it? Embellishments and decorations covered the walls and pillars. It looked like nothing so much as the entrance to a luxurious mansion from the early 1900s. Junpei couldn't help but wonder, was he really in a ship? Well, yeah, there's friggin' water, you know. The water quickly filling the hallway behind him suggested that yes, he was. As he looked, a fresh wave rolled out of the room he had been in, gathering speed as it moved towards the stairs. Yeah, that's what I thought. This is totally a boat. Wait, what the hell? A wave? Shit, I gotta get out of here. Junpei spun around, his wet shoes squeaking in protest on the polished floor, and ran towards the tremendous staircase in front of him. God, I think I have a bit of a lisp tonight. C deck. B deck. As he ran, He glanced quickly at the plates mounted on the wall, denoting the decks of the ship. He took the stairs, 2 at a time, not entirely sure where he would find himself. Just as he began to wonder where, in fact, the stairs did lead, Junpei saw another person out of the corner of his eye. Actually, multiple people, please? Also, tits. Those are tits. Yep. He stopped short, nearly tripping over the next stair, and looked. It wasn't just one person he'd seen. On the landing to the left of the stairs, there were 4 people staring at him. And on the right side, 3 more. All told, there were 7 of them. I think that's supposed to say all total. Whatever. It looked as though they had been on their way down the stairs. They stopped short when they saw Junpei, their eyes wide. He'd done the same, of course, and now they stood there staring at one another. Junpei didn't move, one foot placed awkwardly on the next step in the middle of a stride. Who were these people? His entire interaction lasted only a matter of seconds. The woman spoke to Junpei and time began to move again. I'm not gonna do the voice acting for the characters anymore. Not like really good voice acting at least. I'm gonna do like the shittiest version. I guess there's another one of us now. The woman was dressed, Junpei thought, rather like a dancer. Well, that explains a lot actually. Her clothes covered very little, and her prodigious jewelry little more. Oh wow, there's animation. Hey, you, come on, hurry. With no further ceremony, she ran, straight past Junpei and towards the doors behind him. The sudden proximity of a woman with such striking assets left Junpei momentarily stunned. But the others wasted no time and quickly followed the strange woman. The first to pass Junpei was a young man with silver hair. He threw a quick glance in Junpei's direction as he ran, muttering, "One of us, huh?" Following him was an older man, his face calm and without fear. Soft wrinkles sprouted from his eyes, and he came close enough as he passed for Junpei to see wisps of gray in his hair. His composure and shock of hair struck Junpei as rather like that of an elderly lion. "Going up won't do you any good. There are 2 doors, but neither of them will open." The next to speak was a girl with pink hair and a high voice. Oh god, no. "Come on, aren't you coming? You gotta hurry." Her small hand was wrapped around the wrist of another man. His eyes were closed, almost as though he was sleeping. His features were graceful, almost serene. And he was dressed rather elegantly for someone his age. Looks really old actually in this picture. Something about his posture seemed very refined, and Junpei couldn't help feeling he was noble and dignified somehow. He'd certainly never seen one, but this man seemed like what Junpei had always imagined a prince would look like. Oh great, how do I do a prince kind of voice? "That's 9 of us then. All of the cards are in hand." What does "all the cards are in hand" mean? He wondered. Junpei opened his mouth to ask what the other man had meant, but the girl with pink hair rushed past him and they were gone. Now for the comic relief characters, right? I doubt it actually, that guy's kind of freaking me out. He turned just in time to see 2 more people running towards him. One of them had hair like a bird's nest, and looked as though a stiff breeze might topple him. And the other was a veritable mountain of a man. The scrawny one said nothing and scuttled past Junpei as though he were running from something. "Hey, what the hell are you just standing there for? Didn't you hear him? The doors on A deck are no good. You gotta check the doors on B deck. Get it? Now go." Before he had a chance to respond, the man laid a massive hand on Junpei's shoulder. With no more effort than Junpei would have used to brush aside a fly, the man shoved him out of the way. Whoa! Thrown off balance by the man and recent events, it took Junpei a few steps to get his bearings. He finally regained his balance and looked up at what the other 7 had been running towards. There were 2 pairs of large iron doors set into the walls in front of him. They looked quite sturdy, and each had handles jutting from them. Written across the surface of each door in red paint was a number. The door on the right had a 4, and the door on the left had a 5. They're the same. The guy Junpei had decided to call Silver was mumbling to himself. The room I woke up in had a number on the door just like that. You too, eh? With an arched eyebrow, the lion looked over at Silver. My cell was the same. A number upon the door. I opened it, ran down the hallway outside, and found myself in a rather grand room. Full of stairs, as I suspected the rest of you. God damn it, text crawl. It was though the floodgates had been opened, and they all began to talk at once. Whoa, I'm not gonna do everybody's voices at once, fuck that. I'm just gonna... It soon became clear that each one of them had awoken in a room with a locked door and solved the puzzle to escape. They'd all end up in the same room. Almost as though they'd been guided there. Yes, we all saw the same thing. That's not important. We need to hurry. I think I don't know that lady. Before the dancer had time to finish, Silver was already running. God damn, we have another hedgehog here. He grabbed a hold of the door labeled 5 and pulled. Well, dude, if you can pull that open, that'd be like, you know. Fuck, it's not opening. This damn thing won't even budge. Move. You're in the way. The mountain grabbed Silver's shoulder and tossed him aside. His path cleared, he took a few steps back, then threw himself at the door. Once. Twice. 3 times. 4 times. The door shook as his body slammed into it, but showed no signs of breaking or opening. The mountain threw himself at the door again. Junpei turned towards door 4. Next to the door on the wall was a small box. It looked just like the one he had seen in his room next to that door. If it was the same, then this door was likely locked as well. Still, he had to check. Junpei grabbed a handle and threw all his weight into it. It was locked as tight as the door next to it, as he suspected. Damn it! Junpei punched the door. It did not respond. Were these the only doors, he wondered? He'd barely finished the thought when the C-deck plate he'd passed on his way up sprang unbidden to his mind. His body moved before he had time to think. Junpei turned and ran back towards the stairs. He had scarcely taken a step when, at the top of the stairs next to an ornate clock embedded into the wall, he saw a person. It was a girl. She looked to be the same age as Junpei and is totally the love interest that they're gonna bang. He froze, unable to look away from her face, cause they were gonna bang. He wasn't confounded by her beauty or something equally silly. No, there was another reason he couldn't take his eyes off the girl. Junpei had seen her somewhere before. Okay, that got awkward. He couldn't quite remember where, but he knew. He knew he met her before. The girl, too, stared at Junpei, similarly stunned. Her response suggested she'd seen him before as well. Without saying a word, Junpei walked slowly towards her. She didn't move. It was almost as though she was held in place by some sort of magic spell. As Junpei stepped onto her landing, the spell broke. No sooner had he set his foot down than the whole ship shook a second time. Ah! The quake caught the girl unprepared and she fell. Moving on instinct, Junpei leapt to catch her. Or so he thought. Her face was far closer than it should have been, mere inches from his own. He was flat on his back, and she had landed squarely on top of him. The girl seemed as confused as he did, and her face suggested she still hadn't fully recovered from seeing him. For a moment that seemed to stretch for a very long time, they stared at one another in a very anime pose. The ship stopped shaking. Everything was quiet. Water could be heard from the bottom of the ship, lapping faintly at walls and ceilings, but eventually that faded as well. The silence was complete, a thick, muffling blanket. At last, the girl opened her mouth. Oh my gosh, is that you, Jumpy? Jumpy. Her words echoed through Junpei's head, and suddenly his memory returned. I don't know how to pronounce that. Akane? I'm gonna assume it's Akane. I'm not very well versed in Japanese names. Why hadn't he realized it before? Girl was Akane Kurashiki. She and Junpei had been friends in childhood. They'd gone to elementary school together for 6 years. But what was she doing on the ship? Her soft eyes were only inches away from his own. He could feel the warmth of her face. Feelings he thought long forgotten began to work their way to the surface. He could feel his face heating up. At that moment, a speaker crackled to life, and a cold, eerie voice filled the room. Welcome aboard. I welcome you all from the bottom of my heart to this vessel. With the voice's invasion, the spell between Junpei and Akane was broken, and all hints of how do you pronounce that? Bergian romance? Yeah, Bergian romance, instantly forgotten. They hurriedly untangled themselves from one another and struggled to their feet. Their 7 companions had heard the voice as well, and many of their faces had gone pale. They looked around frantically, desperate to locate the source of the voice. At last, they found it. A speaker set in the ceiling. I am Zero, the captain of this ship. I am also the person who invited you here. The voice was harsh, obscured occasionally by the crackle of static. But Junpei recognized it. How could he have forgotten it? It was the same voice he had heard from the man in the gas mask. Hey, asshole, what the hell is this? Come on out here, I want to get a look at you. What do you mean to do to us? I mean to have you all participate in a game. Some of you, I know, are familiar with this game. The Nonary game. It is a game where you will put your life on the line. Nonary game? What the hell is that? The voice continued. The rules of the Nonary game can be found upon your persons. They are simple rules. Read them. Nonary game? Hey, there's something in my pocket. Check this out. Silver reached into his pocket and pulled out a small slip of paper. The rest of them reached into their own pockets and pulled out similar slips of paper. Junpei followed suit and dug into the pocket of his pants. He felt the telltale crumple of paper, slightly damp from his earlier ordeal. Hey, I got one too. Then it would seem Zero has seen fit to grace us each with a letter. Wow, this writing is like hard to read. I'm sorry. Would you mind terribly reading it to us, young man? His request had been delivered to Junpei, who, after a short moment of surprise, did as he'd been asked. Words. On this ship, you will find a handful of doors, emblazoned. How do I pronounce that? Painted with numbers. We will call them the numbered doors. The doors in front of you are a pair of the same. The key to opening these numbered doors are the numbered bracelets that each of you possess. Should you total the numbers on your numbered bracelets and find that the digital root of what number is equal to the number of that door, the door will open. Only those who have opened the door may pass through. There are, however, limits. Only 3 to 5 people can pass through one numbered door. All those who enter must leave, and all who enter must contribute. Bracelet. Junpei figured had to mean the bulky thing on his wrist. He glanced around. It looked like everyone else had one as well, and had come to much the same conclusion. The purpose of the game is simple. Leave this ship alive. It is hidden, but an exit can be found. Seek a way out. Seek a door that carries a 9. Junpei had reached the end of the letter. There was a long moment of silence, and then the speaker crackled to life once more. There is one last thing I must tell you. Oh wait, I was supposed to avoid. Fuck it. As you have no doubt surmised, this ship has begun to sink. On April 14th, 1912, the famous ocean liner Titanic crashed into an iceberg. After remaining afloat for 2 hours and 40 minutes, it sank beneath the waters of the North Atlantic. I will give you more time. 9 hours. That is the time you will be given to make your escape. The voice finished, and the speaker went silent. The sound of a bell tolling echoed throughout the hall. It came from the dance hall adjacent to the stairwell. It took those assembled on the stair mere moments to trace the sound to an antique clock embedded in the wall. 7, 8, 9. The sound of that 9th bell faded away. The 10th never came. That meant the time was 9 o'clock. Most likely, 9 o'clock in the evening. When Junpei had peered out of the window of his cell, he'd seen nothing but blackness. It had to be nighttime. If that was the case, then they would need to escape by 6 a.m. the following day. Now it is time. Let our game begin. I wish you all the best of luck. The speaker went silent and did not speak again.